I'm Villani, and I would like to call to order the meeting of the New York Empowerment Zone Corporation for today, Monday, August 14th, 2017. All meetings of the NYEZC directors are public meetings, and members of the public are welcome to ask questions after each presentation. Those questions should be focused on the matters raised by the presentation itself. 2 minutes are allotted for the comments from individuals and up to 4 minutes to individuals representing organizations. Following a question and answer period, a motion will be made and a vote will be cast. Our first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the last directors meeting on December 21st, 2016, and also a matter of corporate housekeeping, the approval of the minutes of July and October 2015 and the September 2016 directors meetings. All directors should vote on behalf of the office they hold or represent. None of today's designees were present for all 4 meetings.
Correct.
Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I will ask the members whether anyone has any potential conflicts of interest with respect to any items on the agenda. If so, I will ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure that you may recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to such item.
I have a past conflict, don't know if relevant, but the Sugar Hill Children's Museum, it's a past client of my firm.
Okay, so we ask that you recuse yourself from that vote. I will move back to the motion to approve the minutes from the last directors' meetings. All
Motion.
in favor?
Is that a motion?
Yes.
There's a motion.
Great.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great.
If you were not there, is the policy that you just abstain?
Yes.
Okay, so I abstain.
No, the policy on the minutes is that because you represent the office, you should vote
On behalf of
on behalf of the office you
Yeah.
represent, regardless if you were at the previous meeting. So all of you should vote on that item, on the minutes.
Even though I have no clue if what you're
Correct.
saying here is true or not.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, your office was present,
Your rep-
right? So
yeah.
your
Yes.
office was
Yes.
there.
Yes.
And
Your
you-
representative is there.
And the written transcript was provided to your office, and you have a copy of the written
Yes.
transcript. So
Great.
It's all true. Rest assured.
Marion says so.
Say your prayers and blessings and move on.
All true.
Yes.
Trust Marlene, Marion said so.
Yeah.
The next item on the agenda will be presented by Michael Nixon of the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation.
Point of order. Did we
BOEC.
approve the other 3 minutes or?
Did them all as
Oh, we
one.
did it.
Oh, one? Oh, fabulous. Okay.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda will be presented by Michael Nixon of the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, or BOEDC. It is a $450,000 loan to La Grata Restaurant.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here on behalf of the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation to present a request for. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here on behalf of the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation to present a request for a loan for $450,000 for a business by the name of 136 Alexander Cafe LLC, which owns La Grata Restaurant, which is located in, is that better? Which is located in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx. So this is a restaurant. It is an Italian-themed restaurant located in Mott Haven. The business is 136 Alexander Cafe LLC. There are 3 owners of that limited liability company, Mr. Keith Rubenstein, Mr. Sean Largata, and Mr. Erminio Conte. So those 3 individuals own 136 Alexander Cafe LLC. Each of the individuals brings an important component to that business partnership. Mr. Sean Largata has a long history of being involved in restaurants and food-related businesses throughout his professional career. He is from a family that was in the food business, and then as an adult, Mr. Largata, after having graduated from the Cornell University School of Hotel Management, has been involved with a number of different restaurant establishments throughout his professional career. And so he has a strong background in the restaurant field and is in fact the partner who's managing the day-to-day operations of the restaurant. Mr. Keith Rubenstein has a strong background in real estate and restaurant businesses. Generally, real estate is an important component of many restaurant businesses. So Mr. Rubenstein brings his expertise in the area of real estate in helping to create a vision of the restaurant from a physical point of view, locational point of view, and things of this sort. And then Mr. Erminio Conti is a chef by profession, so he is the chef for the restaurant and has had significant experiences working in restaurants as a chef. So together, the three partners of the business each bring their own expertise into the restaurant to create a successful restaurant. Now, the restaurant is located in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx, which is a community which is, if you will, up and coming. It is located in the southern part of the Bronx and right in the heart of the Bronx Empowerment Zone. And the community is in the early stages of a transformation in which more and more young people are coming to the community, both to live and also to play and engage in live, work, and also engage in recreation in the community. So the restaurant La Grata is in a community which is in its early stages of significant transformation. It's currently, again, an up-and-coming community, and there is the distinct possibility over the next few years that it will become a major destination community, like some of the other communities that we've seen in New York City in the last few years. So this is important both because of the nature of the restaurant and the clients that it's attracting. We expect that the community will only grow and have more of the kind of young individuals, young professionals who would be a significant portion of the clientele of the restaurant. And it's also important for the community that restaurants like La Grata are coming to the community because they're creating the kind of or part of an ecosystem that makes a community viable and attractive, which attracts private investment, both in terms of housing, in terms of restaurants, and in terms of stores, and also new restaurants, new residents who are coming to the community. So we view La Grata Restaurant as an important part of the transformation of the Mott Haven community and seeing the community grow and prosper. So the funds that the restaurant or that the business is seeking is for leasehold improvements and equipment that have been invested in the business to make it a viable business in this transforming community. And we, as an organization, Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, really wanted to see that this was a viable business. require that they show some actual figures in terms of revenue and profitability and cash flow. We were not content with going forward with a loan until we had some actual demonstration that the restaurant was going to be a viable business. And after several months of profitability and positive cash flow, the restaurant has demonstrated that it is strong, it's viable, it's in and of itself is part of a larger community, and given its actual reported income and profitability, plus the individuals who are part of the limited liability company, we feel comfortable that this is a good investment, not just for the restaurant, but for the broader community and what this augurs for the increased economic development for Mott Haven, specifically in Bronx more generally. In addition to that, there are roughly 18 current employees of the restaurant. I believe about 15 or 16 of those are Bronx residents. The majority of the Bronx residents, to my knowledge, are residents of the empowerment zone. So they are providing jobs for local residents in the community. They're very committed to hiring Bronx residents, both as a part of their values, sense of values, but also from a pragmatic point of view of having local staff who are able to work and be easily available. And so this is a business that is been in addition to the community as an employer, as providing amenities, as part of the transformation that's taking place within Mott Haven and the Bronx. So let me stand back and answer any questions, and I can go further if people have questions.
Are there any questions from the directors?
Do we know the wage range for the jobs that are will be promised under this particular loan?
I don't know the exact wages. Certainly it is above minimum wage. The exact wage I can't honestly tell you at this moment.
Let me just add to that it's not that we'll be promised. This is an ongoing entity. It opened up August of last year, so they've been around for a year already. Certainly they have to meet, whatever is the minimum standard with respect to New York State and New York City requirements, but I don't doubt that in order to maintain and attract the individuals that they have, they've had to do better than that. But certainly that's something that we can be responsive to.
Thank you.
How's the food?
The most important question.
Did you eat?
Especially the Nutella pizza.
All right.
Yeah, the pizza is very good. They have some very good food there. It's also, in addition to having good food, which obviously, as far as I'm concerned, whenever you have a restaurant, that's the number one thing, of course. But it's also physically a very attractive environment. It attracts a lot of people. They have an outdoor cafe. So it's a nice dining experience, but still reasonably priced. So it's a good place to go.
Who is the Somerset Partners equity investment?
The three individuals mentioned, Keith Rubenstein, John Largata, and the chef, are the three investors.
Okay.
And they have provided personal guarantees as well. So
this is their.
Okay. Yeah, this is part of a larger mosaic. There is a lot of investment being done by quite a number of businesses, but in particular, Somerset has decided to, what I call, play monopoly. They have decided to begin to create the infrastructure needed in order to meet the needs of the current residents. That area has never receive the kind of attention that the local residents are now getting, but it is also to ensure that the individuals that are moving in to the housing right across the street, in addition to the projects on the other side of the street as well, in addition to the housing that's going to be built in the next 2 years, that there be the kind of amenities that that community has not enjoyed in the last 30 to 40 years. So
Good.
it's good for everyone.
Thank you.
Could you explain a bit about so obviously this is one of their first restaurants in the neighborhood. Have you talked to them about expanding elsewhere? Or we'll see how it goes.
No, this is their first restaurant, and it's a year old. They are currently working on 9 Bruckner, which is going to be a food market. That's 2 blocks away, and they're going to have a brewery that's moving in from Brooklyn to the Bronx. They're currently in conversations with other Bronx purveyors to see who else they want in that market, and it'll give the person who just wants to walk up and down Bruckner Boulevard and another opportunity for another place that they can just drop into. So certainly this is the beginning of a transformation that's good for the area. There's also, because as a result, we were just driving over the 3rd Avenue Bridge and saw that a nightclub that has been longstanding and closed is now being reopened as a restaurant. They put windows onto the nightclub, and it's called Made in Puerto Rico. So that's an arm of another restaurant that's further north in the Bronx. So certainly the area is being discovered, not just by these investors, but opportunities are making themselves available for other Bronx restaurants and tavern owners who are taking advantage of the promise and the growth of the area.
Great. Any other questions from the directors? Any questions from the public? I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. The $450,000 loan for La Grada Restaurant has been approved, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Great. The next 4 items on the agenda will be presented by staff of the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone Corporation. The first will be a grant of $750,000 to the Sugar Hill Children's Museum of Art and Storytelling presented by Verdery Roosevelt.
And let the record reflect that they're past clients of my firm, and I'm recusing from discussion.
Good afternoon, everyone. The memorandum for the Sugar Hill Children's Museum is under tab 8 of your board book. This recommendation is for a 3-year grant of up to $750,000. The investment would activate the revenue strategies outlined under a technical assistance grant by UMES to Broadway housing communities in 2010. The museum is a primary component of the striking Sugar Hill housing development on St. Nicholas and 155th Street, which was designed by David Adjaye, who was also the architect for the new National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. In just 2 years, the museum has become a hub of cultural activity for its neighborhood, with over 15,000 visitors. Over 70% have been admitted at no charge, thanks to the museum's efforts to provide free access through multiple platforms, such as the city's NYC ID card. Children 8 and under are always given free admission. The museum's exhibitions comment on contemporary issues while maintaining an appeal to audiences of all ages. They have won glowing reviews. Broadway Housing Communities is the sole member of the museum's Board of Trustees and has provided substantial financial support to the museum over the past several years. The museum has laid out an ambitious strategy to become self-sustaining while maximizing its program capacity. It will accomplish these goals by building a diversified revenue stream from earned and contributed sources, and by growing to a 17-person staff with the capacity to implement a full calendar of programs and activities. In support of that strategy, this grant would fund 5 full-time and 6 part-time employees, 2 consultant positions, and support the development of its marketing efforts. To mitigate UMES's exposure during this period of vigorous growth, the grant amount has been divided into 2 components: basic support of up to $545,000 and an incentive support component of up to $205,000. The maximum incentive available each year is based on the museum's success in achieving its stated fundraising goals from sources other than UMES or Broadway Housing Communities. The total project cost is $1,509,800 for a leverage of 2-to-1. To date, the museum has secured $466,057 toward this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Oh, thanks.
That's my report. Any questions?
Any questions from the directors?
I just have one. Is this the new site, the new building right over?
Yeah.
Base of it. It's at the base of it.
Above.
Interesting building.
Yes.
Lots of affordable housing above that.
It's gorgeous.
Any other questions from the directors? Any questions from the public? I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Abstain.
Okay. Let it be on the record. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
The $750,000 grant for the Sugar Hill Children's Museum of Art and Storytelling has been approved.
You're great.
The next item is the Business Resource and Investment Center Line of Credit Pilot Program presented by Joseph Middleton.
Thank you and good afternoon. This is for informational purposes only, and it's regarding the line of credit for the Business Resource and Investment Service Center. I believe the staff had communicated with everyone beforehand about this particular program. In September of 2016, UMED staff launched an outreach strategy to create referral partnerships with local banks in Northern Manhattan to help increase visibility and awareness of the UMED Small Business Lending Platform, the BRISC. Through those referral relationships, staff has identified a consistency in the type of funding requests coming from existing banking customers, which prompted us to explore a new product offering, a business line of credit. Notably, each bank indicated that a line of credit was the most requested form of financing for small businesses. A business line of credit is a flexible form of revolving credit that can provide a company with working capital or purchasing options that can be useful if revenues is seasonal or if business is growing quickly. This includes purchasing supplies, additional inventory, or covering operating expenses. Essentially, a business line of credit helps small businesses grow by giving them options to access capital as their funding request grows. One of the most common use of a business line of credit is to help maintain cash flow. Access to a line of credit can help a small business meet its short-term business needs. Staff sought additional information from those banking institutions on the line of credit requests they had recently declined to help profile the potential borrower and identify if there was a market UMEL was not captured. The information received identified a range of requests from $10,000 to $200,000 and were from a multitude of small businesses, such as food services providers, transportation services providers, and retail stores. The primary reason for the bank's credit denials were poor credit, personal credit, that being credit scores below 720, less than 2 years in business, or a lack of cash collateral. Given the denials by local banks and increased referrals from our banking partners, staff concluded that there is an opportunity to explore a business line of credit option as a pilot program utilizing existing BRISC funds to offer Upper Manhattan businesses access to capital that may otherwise be unavailable through their traditional banking providers. BRISC proposes to utilize $500,000 of its current loan fund as a line of credit fund for a one-year pilot program. The proposed BRISC line of credit pilot will provide capital in the amounts of $25,000 to $100,000 to support existing Upper Manhattan businesses in operation for a minimum of 2 years. BRISC will charge an interest rate ranging from 6 to 10% based on the risk profile of the borrower, calculated on a scale of 1 to 5, based on their credit score. An annual maintenance fee of 5 basis points will be charged, in addition to an advance fee of $25 for each advance request. There's also a proposed closing fee of 1% due at closing. To illustrate the functionality of a line of credit, a small business owner will apply through a BRISC loan officer and go through the due diligence and board approval process. Upon approval, the borrower will have access to the funds up to the approved amount. The borrower can then request funds as needed based on their available balance and repay their monthly minimum payment or repay the outstanding balance in full, making the full amount available again for future drawdown requests. Once a borrower is approved and funded, BRISC will closely monitor each line of credit performance with a monthly review of account activity and covenant compliance. If the full principal balance of account has remained unpaid with no revolving activity after 1 year, the outstanding line of credit will be converted to a term loan in which the interest and principal balance will be amortized over a period to be determined. If this occurs, all access to the original revolving line of credit terms will be revoked. BRISC will utilize the same underwriting diligence currently used for term loans, with an emphasis on the historical performance of the borrower and financial covenant. For line of credit requests, BRISC will pay particular attention to a business operating margin and set coverage ratios guidelines such as debt service, fixed charge, and interest coverage minimums. BRISC will also take into account the borrower's outstanding receivables, payable, and cash flow through an analysis of financial and bank statements. To secure the funds, BRISC will require a personal guarantee from principal owners, as well as a lien on all business assets and any real property owned to be pledged as collateral. The main advantage of providing this pilot loan fund includes the ability for BRISC to provide a needed financing option to the Upper Manhattan small business community, which could introduce BRISC to existing Manhattan businesses not seeking a term loan, and help foster an ongoing relationship with those businesses. There's also the competitive advantage in alternative lending market, in which very few micro and small business lenders offer a revolving line of credit product due to scale and lack of capacity. Our diligence identified a strong demand in Upper Manhattan for a line of credit product, which would imply an uptick in volume for BRISC. But BRISC has a limited geographical footprint, which could also help mitigate the increased demand and the risks associated with offering this type of funding. In addition, this program will be a pilot program scheduled to review after 1 year. BRISC look forward to offering the short-term financing option to existing Upper Manhattan businesses in an effort to meet their working capital and growing expansion needs. Any questions?
Any questions from the directors?
I just want a point of clarification.
I'm sorry. I was just told that this is for approval, not for information. I'm sorry.
Repurposing
of the BRISC loan fund.
Existing
Exactly.
funds, no new funds.
Right.
Just repurposing of the existing BRISC loan.
All right, so just as point of information, as a result, these decisions of who will be financed will be subject to the responsibility of your internal mechanisms.
Exactly the same.
And you do not need to come to the board in order to have each and every one of these approved or disapproved.
No, because BRISC is an initiative that's been underway for, I guess, 20 years. And because it's a small business lending fund, and we need to move more quickly, it's never been subject to the NYEZ review process. The initiative.
But it was initially easy funds.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Just-
original funding allocation was approved by UMES in FY 2016, I believe, and we're just using a portion of that
Right.
to.
I got it. We got
Right,
it.
right.
Any other questions from the directors? Any questions from the public? I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Point, Bronx cannot move on.
Oh, that's right.
Projects.
So I move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Marty.
Great. Thank you. The directors have approved
in
the
you
Brisk
guys.
Line of Credit Pilot Program.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is UMES's marketing initiative.
Joe.
This is under tab 10 of the board books in connection with a marketing budget for UMES. The UMES budget will cover the calendar year from January 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2017. The prior marketing budget was approved back in October of 2014, and that covered a 2-year term from July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2016. The amount of that 2-year budget was $120,000 or $60,000 per year. This marketing budget is for a 1-year period for $100,000. The marketing budget differs in a few key respects from the prior ones. Under this plan, there's significant print and online media advertising campaign beginning late January that ran through April. So those funds have been expended, that program has run. That program outreach was for small businesses through local papers, DNA Info, and we supplemented that with some of our on-the-ground partnering with some of the community banks that were mentioned earlier. We're also launching a Twitter account to tweet our content about UMES advertisements. We're also hoping that we'll get several retweets. For anyone listening here, the UMES handle is at UMES_DC.
I will sign up right now.
Okay. And that's on our website, and we certainly encourage all.
What's the
followers.
DC for?
I was going to ask what DC
What
is
is the
about.
DC?
DC is for Development Corporation.
Oh, okay.
UMES.
I thought someone was trying to
Shoulda
move.
known.
I was getting nervous.
This marketing budget also provides for convening sessions to help with UMES's branding so borrowers and grantees can understand our programs. The other aspects of this marketing budget remain consistent with past years. That concludes my report.
Great. Any questions from the directors?
With respect to local papers, what kind of papers have you been advertising in?
Sure. So with 3 primary print papers, well, the first one is Amsterdam News, the Manhattan Times, and El Diario.
So theoretically speaking, those papers do not just cover the empowerment zone area, they really are able to really and truly capture those individuals and businesses that
We think
Would-
so, yes.
belong in the empowerment zone.
We do think so, yes.
Any other questions from the directors?
Following. Following you.
Any questions from the public? Great. I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. The UMES
Thank you.
marketing initiative has been approved. The next item on the agenda is the UMES administrative budget for fiscal year 2018. It will be presented by Ghaffar Mohammed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ghaffar Mohammed. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of Empowerment Zone, of Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone. We are here to present our administrative budget for the fiscal year 2018, and that's on tab 11 of your book. The proposed UMES and BRIS consolidated budget for the fiscal year 2018 is completely funded from loan repayments, as it was last year. The overall 2018 budget is $61,956 higher than the 2017 budget, and that's an increase of 1.6%. But first, if you were to flip over that page, we would like to point out that comparing FY 2017 budget with 2017 projected amount, you will notice that the total expenses for 2017 projected amount is $3,347,903, which is a $429,619, or 11% lower than the budgeted amount of $3,774,522. Please note that significant variation in the following. Our personnel services cost is projected to be $2,309,367, which is $557,756, or 19% lower than the budgeted amount of $867,123. And this is because of staff vacancies that we had during the year, but some of those vacancies were filled. On line 26, you'll notice the projected amount will be higher than budget by $120,439 because of legal costs incurred on loan initiatives and collection efforts from delinquent borrowers. On line 28, temporary staff and other consulting services for 2017 is projected to be higher than the budget by $55,572. And that's because of the vacancies I mentioned above. Line 30 deals with liability insurance, and you will notice that the expenses for 2017 is projected to be less than the budget by $25,125. And that's because our premiums were lower, because we have not filed any claims over the prior several years. Moving over to the 2018 budget, please note that significant variations in the following. On line 13, equipment and software purchases is projected to be $20,000, and that's an increase of $15,000 over the 2017 amount. Our computers are about 9 years old, and we intend to replace them this coming year. On line 26, you'll notice that legal is budgeted at $114,000 for 2018, and that's an increase of $36,500 because of anticipated loan collection activities, which will result in increased legal services. On line 30, liability insurance for 2018 is budgeted to be lower than 2017 by $19,000, and that again is because the premiums are expected to be lower because we have not filed any claims over prior several years. If there are any questions, I can answer at this point.
Any questions from the directors? Any questions from the public? I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. The UMES administrative budget has been approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would like to point out that this budget is for the fiscal year 2018 to start in July 1st, 2017 and project until next year, June 30th.
Great, thank you. The final item on the agenda will be presented by Marion Phillips. It is the NYEZC administrative budget for fiscal years 2017 and 2018.
Good afternoon. I'm going to withdraw both of those budgets. I was reading them just now. There are a couple of errors in both, so we'll present them at the next meeting. And I apologize for the last minute. I probably should have looked at them much more carefully before we put them in the book. Also, I want to introduce our new directors, Anthony Jordan representing Congressman Serrano, Luis Miranda, who's representing Congressman Esplayat, and serving today on behalf of ESD is Kevin Eunice from Albany. He's our COO. Okay.
One point on the budgets.
Welcome all.
Welcome to everyone.
From an old timer.
I know from the city's perspective, we actually have a couple of salaries that are dependent on the budget, so I ask that the next meeting be held as soon as possible.
Totally understood, and we're in the same place, so we will do that quickly even if we need to have a special meeting in the next week or two to accomplish
Great.
that.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And hopefully the bonds will be ready at that
Correct.
Okay.
Subject to a vacation.
Pray for that.
Okay. Any other business? Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
You can do that.
We can both do
You can
that.
both do that.
All in favor? Seems like everyone.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thank you very much. This meeting of the directors of the New York Empowerment Zone Corporation is now closed.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
When are you?